Hi, it's Philip. Like I said, I was going to record a longer video about the Akashic Records, especially with Archangel Michael. I've known about the Akashic Records and I've done some meditations and had some personal experiences with it, especially in my channeled guided meditations. I usually see it as like a movie theater or a book, and I've seen it multiple times in visions, in guided visions and guided meditations. But this experience was different because it was triggered by a traumatic experience. I won't go into the personal details, but it was a event that caused a lot of distress in my life at the time. And I was going home and I was really distraught. So distraught that I was actually crying. Not that I care to admit that, but if it's important to the story or not. So I get home, I'm living in Oakland, California, and I am living in this upstairs bedroom, and I get to sleep, but I'm still upset. I'm still viscerally upset. And the story works because I've asked and seen the Akashic Records, like I said, multiple times, and I've worked previously with Archangel Michael, so it wasn't that it was unprovoked. I feel like the experience happened because it was a fork in the road and it was a timeline shift that potentially could have altered my life experience, physically, possibly leading to something that may have completely changed my life. Whether positive or negative, I'm not quite aware, but I've had multiple people tell me it would have caused an altercation physically that would have changed me and would have basically shifted everything. But that's hypothetical, that's theoretical, and I was told that multiple times. So going back to the experience with Archangel Michael, I was laying down in bed crying, and the Archangel Michael has given me hugs before. I have experienced this, an angel coming and hugging me. I used to talk about this during my meditations, where I would feel these beings come in and hug me, like physically holding me. And I believe it's the same experience with dogs, where they co-regulate your nervous system. My nervous system was co-regulated with light beings and angels and ascended masters. So this wasn't the first time I had experienced a hug with Michael, but this one was specifically visceral and clear because I felt like I was such in a space that I needed a lot of support, and I didn't know at the time. And I talk a lot about free will, and asking for help from the light is really important. So I've established this connection with Archangel Michael already to the point where they will step in and help me out if something like this happens, potentially could happen. So Michael came in, I felt the hug, I was sleeping, I was awakened by Michael. And the reason I knew it was Michael because I saw them in my mind's eye, Michael as a tall, blonde, shirtless man with like an 8-pack. Like Michael's a bit of a jokester, a big jokester actually, and has a big laugh, like a Santa Claus, but like thunderous laughter. So laughter is a huge component of my experience with the light beings because they don't have physical bodies and they can laugh off things that we take really seriously, and they have a higher perspective. So to see Michael in this blonde surfer dude, like himbo look, not that there's anything wrong with that, but it was just very clearly a specific image to get me to question a little bit and kind of take me out of the moment of my experience to experience Michael. And as I was awakened from the hug, I went back into the vision. I was immersed back into the experience with Michael. Michael basically took me back into the vision in my sleep, and I immediately went back into an altered state of consciousness with Michael, and we walked into what looked like an underground bar in Europe, like brick walls, underground somewhere, you probably seen it in a movie or something, like an underground bar, bricks, old European style. Michael's still shirtless, by the way, blonde, bangs, the whole deal. And as we're walking down the steps, we are presented with the person that I was having an experience with. I won't get into details about what I saw. I think it's not the best time to share that information because it's involving somebody else. But what Michael revealed to me was their true energetic nature. And maybe if you're interested, I can share vividly what I saw about the person, and it revealed to me who they were energetically and gave me a lot of clarity and insight around the nature of our experiences. So that was super crystal clear. Michael laid it out really plain and simple for me to understand energetically what and who this person was. And from that experience, the reason I call this an Akashic record experience with Michael, because there was a menu, like a really longer, thinner menu, probably 8x11, not 8x11, 8x5 actually, 8 inches, 5, and it was laminated. And there was 3 things Michael told me. In this moment, I'm not really consciously aware of the things they told me, but they were very clear. I remember them. I have them recorded somewhere. Again, they were really abstract. One was go to the moon, and 2 of the things that we don't think we can accomplish, but they were very metaphorical in the language and the symbolism, metaphorically speaking. And so I was like, okay, I'm not sure what that really means. And there was a menu on the back, and they were all symbols. And at the time, I didn't understand the symbols, and I still don't. They were angelic sigils, angelic, geometries, angelic invocations. But they were embedded into my memory and experience. I saw them, and I consider that an Akashic Records because it was a preview. I was shown an experience with this person, and then I was shown a potential other experience of basically the rest of my life, what will happen. Even though in the moment, and still to this day, I'm not really 100% aware of the decoding of the sigils and geometry, but I feel like my life is basically decoding those symbols. I do have a really good memory. I can see the symbols in my mind, but if I had to draw them, I wouldn't be consciously aware. Maybe if I was in an altered state, in a meditative state, I could probably bring those symbols back. But I feel like they're part of me, and if I see them, they'll pop out. So essentially, I have asked this experience with Archangel Michael. I've guided other people through this experience with the Akashic Records. And during this life-changing experience, the fork in the road experience I was talking about, Michael presented me an alternate road, an alternate timeline and choice at that moment to make a choice that would empower me, essentially to move on from that experience in an empowered way. It took me a little bit longer to get to that place, but I eventually got there. That's a whole nother experience in and of itself, what happened in that timeline and what I saw and from the person and what those symbols mean. I want to be super clear. I don't need to bog the experience down with the details at the moment because they may not be necessary or be even relevant. And they may, come out at another time of what's important. But what I'm essentially attempting to say here is that the Archangel Michael has your back when you ask them, when you ask Michael to protect you, when you ask Michael for guidance, when you ask Source or God, however you communicate with the all, that is everything we're connected to. And so there's a support. And that's what I experienced with Michael in that moment. There was an unconditional support where I thought I was completely in a hopeless place. And Michael showed me that I wasn't. disempowered. I wasn't hopeless. I had opportunity to take my power back in that situation and empower myself fully to step into that new pathway once I chose to. And that's what I believe the Archangel Michael is here to do, is help us remember that truth, that light of connecting with our light, our soul, our higher selves, and remembering who we are. And by helping us clear any negative obstacles in our way once we ask the Archangel Michael to do that. It is my intention in this video to be clear and concise with how these beings have assisted me and how they can assist you. You may have a different experience with them, but I believe in invoking help, and asking for help really accelerates our ability to communicate with these light beings, as opposed to not asking and expecting them to help. That goes back to the free will aspect, the point I was making earlier. The more we ask, they're omnipresent, omniscient beings. They're everywhere all at once. They can help 6 billion, 8 billion people at the same time once they ask, even non-religious, denominational people, anybody who asks them for help, light, support. And they may show up in a different form, whatever you believe in. I was not religious. I was not raised religious. I was not really even fully believing in Source at that time. But the Archangel Michael came to me in a familiar way, and I will go deeper. I believe I've shared some experiences I've had with the Archangel Michael, but I can go in deeper and share that connection to give you understanding what and who the Archangel Michael is and what they are to me and what they mean to me and how they've showed up. So if this was helpful, I am going to create more of these meditations to help you to connect with these beings, connect with Archangel Michael specifically if you are resonating with that being, and to help you in your path in divine guidance and divine protection and anything you ask them for. Thank you for watching this video, and hopefully I'll hear from you soon.